Yeah, Amen. So thank God for giving me this opportunity to share. And before we have tonight's sharing, we're gonna kneel down and pray together and ask God to guide us. And yes. Lord Jesus Yeah, Amen. In the name of Lord Jesus Christ, I speak. And thank God for this opportunity to share my experience in Africa with you. For the people who don't know me, my name is Aimee Lin. I'm from London Church, and I original from China. So thank God for giving me the opportunity to join an African trip, missionary trip. In 2016, I followed preachers to go to Kenya, and the trip was more about the visitation and the passing terrain. Basically, I followed preacher to travel to different locations every day. But last year in 2017, the trip to Zambia was very different. We spent about 1 month in Zambia, which is include 1 week for the worker seminar in Kauma, the Western Province, and 1 week SSC in Chambly, Kitwe. Is the work? Okay. Yeah. So 1 week in Chambly, Kitwe, and 1 week RE teacher training in Mapalo and Dola, and 1 week visitation covering Mpika, Kaloko, and Tokagam. So to me, joining a missionary trip to Africa is a special training course. So you will have chance to follow a preacher to travel around one or two countries in Africa for a month, and you can hear many good sharings, testimonies from the preacher, other volunteers, and local workers and members. So you were able to observe how the preacher works and communicate with local workers, organize events, and doing time and financial management. So you will not only get to know the individual preachers a bit more, but also the role and the responsibility of being a preacher. And joining a missionary trip to Africa also built up my knowledge and understanding in terms of the condition of the church and members in Africa. So it also helped me to also once again examine my substitute towards God. And I really received a lot through each trip to Africa. So that's why it makes me want to go back again and again. So this time I followed preacher. So this map is basically how we travel. So we arrive in Lusaka, and then we travel to Kauma, and then we come back to Lusaka and go up to Kitwe, and then go down to Andola, and then we go to Mpika, and then come back to Andola and then fly back to UK. So next slide. So yeah, so this time I followed preacher Raymond Leacock, and together with the training preacher Daniel Liu went to Zambia. We left London on 29th November 2017 about 3 a.m. And after over 24 hours traveling, including 2 changes, we finally arrived at Lusaka. So that's the Lusaka airport and the capital of Zambia. And after we arrived at the airport, we meet up with the local workers and went to a supermarket to buy some suppliers. Then immediately we took a coach traveling about 8 hours to Kauma, a town in the western province of Zambia for the worker seminar. So this is Kauma, and we spent about 10 days in Kauma. From the moment we arrived at Kauma, we started facing some unexpected challenges. The seminar was supposed to start on 1st December, the Friday morning, but because the members had to travel a very great distance to come to Kauma town, so some even needed to travel more than 60 kilometers. The delay in arriving caused the preacher to change the timetable to start the seminar on the afternoon. However, another big issue arose was condition of the place that the local coordinator board planned it to hold the seminar. Based on the local worker report, the place was surrounded by rubbish and no toilet facilities. So the place was too bad to hold the seminar and let the member to stay during the week. By this time, some of the members had already arrived at Kauma, so there was no chance for us to change the date or cancel the seminar. So we had to find a place for the member to stay and hold the seminar in one of the rooms that we stayed, like that in the dome of the hotel. And at the same time, the local worker continued to looking for a suitable place. And during that time, on the first day when we start the seminar, and then preacher Raymond delivered a lesson in the room with the members. Oh no, sorry, previous. So he was delivered, I think it's too dark to see on the left, the picture. The preacher was delivered a lesson, and Daniel and I prayed in another room for the issues. After we prayed, we come out the room and find that there were 3 policemen from immigration office who had come to see what was happening here. So the guy sits on the bed. He's a policeman from the immigration office, and they checked our passport and a visa document and asked for the itinerary of our trip. The officer also said that we should hold the class in a more open area rather than a private room, but because we have no chance at the time, and the visitation of the immigration officers make us a bit nervous because at that time the local workers was not there because they went out to try to find a suitable place. So basically only 3 of us as a foreigner, we have to face the policeman. But thank God the conversation with the policeman went quite smoothly. And the next day was Sabbath day. But because we still haven't found a suitable place, we had to hold a Sabbath service in 2 separate rooms in 2 different hotels. So one is still in that room, and another one is in a room next to a hotel next to us. And cooking became another issue as we didn't have a place to cook. But the limitation of the budget did not allow us to eat at the restaurant or buy takeaway all the time. So in the evening, Preacher Raymond shared a personal experience from his first missionary trips to Africa, and he was faced with unexpected challenges on the way to Kenya. And the conclusion was keep calm and be faithful to God, and you will see how God guides your path. And then his sharing encouraged me and continue to pray to God about the challenges we were facing. So, and in Isaiah chapter 41 verse 10, it says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." So although we were facing many unexpected challenges in the beginning, but by relying on God, He truly guides us and opens a way for us. On the Monday, the local worker found a youth center. That's a youth center, and we were able to rent a classroom from them from Monday to Friday. So that's the classroom we were renting. So we were able to hold in the lesson together because before we have to have 2 separate rooms, and then it's not very convenient as well because the people who stay in the hotel sometimes they will complain because they will feel a bit strange about our prayer, and a lot of kids is praying along. So we thank God for we were able to find this place, and the rental price was even cheaper than the original plan at the original place. And the owner of the hotel that we will stay, and he allowed us to use the yard of the hotel to cook. And the immigration officers, they didn't come back to us anymore either. So by the grace of God, we were able to solve all the problems we were facing and even received a better outcome than we expect. I really thank God for giving us these challenges so that we could be reminded to truly pursue and rely on Him, as we might face more challenges in the future. Even though we face challenges and difficulties, we are still under the protection of God. So this is sometimes we eat dinner by ourselves, and I really like the banana with the peanuts and the bread. Oh, and the soup powder is super good. I really thank God that we remember to bring the soup powder and the water kettle so we can have hot soup at night. And sometimes the whole city run out the electric power, so we have to use our own torch to prepare the lesson or discuss, have meeting or eating. Yeah. So next. So this is a worker seminar, the group photo we took in the classroom, and yeah. Okay, sorry. So, just after everything started going smoothly, God let us face another challenges. We left Kalma in the morning of 10th December and traveled to Chambly for the NSSC because there was no direct coach. So from Kalma to Chambly, we had to take a coach for more than 7 hours back to Lusaka, and then change to another coach for about another 8 hours journey to get to Chambly. But because the coach from Kalma arrived 1 hour late, so we were almost unable to catch the next coach from Lusaka to Chambly. But thank God when we arrived at the coach station, the last coach going to Chambly was there and only had 4 seats left. But we have 5 of us, but they still allowed the 5 of us get on the coach. Yeah. So the NSSE was supposed to start on Sunday afternoon, but due to the long journey and we were not able to make it according to the plan. But we hope to arrive on the Sunday night and start NSSE on Monday morning. And it was about 9 p.m. and we only had about 45 minutes left until we would arrive at Kitwe. And however, the coach stopped on the way at Andola due to the Zambia law. They say the driver cannot continue drive after 9 p.m. Therefore, we had to stay over on the coach, and then the whole day we only share a pack of biscuits among 5 of us, and because there was no toilet, and we tried not to drink too much water, and the coach was full of the passengers, and we did not have much space, and the outside of the coach it started raining at nighttime, so we could not open the window. And we were hungry, thirsty, tired, hot, and with no fresh air. And a coach was full of mosquitoes around us. And yeah, basically you can see the group of mosquitoes just flying around. And under these conditions, we waited for another 8 hours. And around 5 a.m., the coach finally started moving again. So you can see our face when we arrived at Kitwe. And then we were so tiring. Yeah, you can see Daniel's face was okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. So we arrived at Kitwe about 6 a.m. and changed to taxi to go to Chambly. And by 7 a.m. we will arrive at the hotel. And the time we had only allowed us to take a quick cold shower and have a piece of small bread for breakfast. Then we went to the school where we were having the NSC. I think the same school that Jeffrey was shared this afternoon. And the NSC started from 11th December 2017 to 17th December. And when we arrived at the school, we had been through a period of more than 24 hours travel journey, and where we did not really eat anything or sleep, but we need immediately led morning prayer and lessons. And I was assigned to teach the class under 18 the whole day at the day, and I felt so tired and really wanted to say to the preacher that I wasn't able to teach. But preacher himself also needed to teach the adult class for the whole day. And although Brother Daniel said to me he would help to cover the lesson if I was too tired, but we went through the same situation, so he was not less tired than me. So I decided to still cover the lesson by myself. And during the morning prayer session, I share the Psalms 1-1 with the students. And so I share with them, I will lift up my eyes to the hills, from whence comes my help. My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and the earth. So when I read the verses, I felt the verses actually encouraged me. And I say to myself, yes, I was tired, but God is my helper. Yes, I'm weak, but God's strength is made perfect in weakness. So after sharing, all the students knelt down to pray together. They were so keen to pray. The sound of prayer was so loud and so powerful. And I felt the Holy Spirit empower me through the prayer. So I was able to deliver the 3 lessons before lunch and not feel tired. And it's the first day of NSC, and I think God gave me a very good lesson. And it's really reminded me that when I do the works of God, I'm not relying on my own power or my own strength, but the power and the strength of God. Because in Philippians chapter 4 verse 13 says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So this is a group photo of the Chambly. So thank God the NSSC in Chambly went quite smoothly. And this year, last year, sorry. Yeah. So 2017, the NSSC in Zambia had about 131 attendees, which was higher than the previous years. There was 2 classes. Usually the NSSC have 2 classes. So under 18 and 18 above. I mainly helped to teach the younger class. The class had about 86 students in one classroom. Because of the limited space, we moved those who were 17 to the adult class, but the younger class still had about 73 students. So so you have to try to manage a very big class. And every day's morning prayer and afternoon prayer, there were some students who received the Holy Spirit, and I really thank God for this. And some students even saw vision. So there was a boy named Malpa. Sorry, I'm not very good at pronounce African name. Malpa, yes. On the boy on the screen, yeah. He is a truth seeker, and he is only 10 years old. But he behaved so well in the class, taking notes, answer the questions, studying hard. And during one of the evening prayer, and he saw a vision, and he saw a big river flowing in front of him, and he felt that someone standing next to the river, and he could not see very clearly the person. Then he felt there was a voice which said to him that he needed to be baptized into Jesus Church, and the vision is encouraged him to pursue the baptism. And it's also I also feel like whether adults or children, God is calling the humble who willing to seeking Him and pursuing Him. So there's another sister named Janet, and during a prayer, she saw a vision that she and her friends, another church sister, and preacher Stephen Sheck were walking together, and there was a wide road that she drawing. There's a wide road and there's a narrow road, and then she saw her friends and preacher Stephen continue walk on the narrow road, but she stopped at the beginning of the narrow road. That's the spot she drawing on that. So, and then she stopped there, and then she saw her body below the knee was dark, but the rest of the body is still remained bright. And then she was crying, and then she saw preacher Stephen turn around and look back toward her, and then she continued crying. And so this vision actually sometimes like God will show us our weakness in our prayers, and if we have hard to change to seek Him, and God will guide our path. So preacher actually encourage her like to examine herself and to reflect either she about her lifestyle or her make some wrong decision and try to change. Yeah. So it also reminds me that we should also reflect on ourselves. We should also examine ourselves, our lifestyle and faith, because it can happen to her, but also can happen to us. And thank God I learned a lot from the students at NSSC, and I learned from how they persuade to draw close to God, and I learned from the way they prayed without ceasing. They were really keen to pray, and often too joyful in prayer and didn't want to stop. So preacher have to try so hard to walk around and try to stop them. So this is Nshima, that Jeffrey also mentioned. is able to play. Also, that's how they cook enshima. And this is the portion for 150 people. I tried by myself, but I'm so weak and I just cannot think. Yeah, next. So that's how the way they eat. Yeah. Oh, you need to do this very skillful. This is the dishes we add every day. Yeah. So the way they dry their clothes, they just leave the clothes on the grass. Oh, okay. Yeah, they just leave the clothes on the grass everywhere. And this is the way I dry my clothes. I just leave outside the kitchen, actually, basically, because there's no line for me to dry my clothes. And when it's raining, and the kids will all run out and collect water. And sometimes you will saw them just open their mouth and try to drink some water from it. And they learn Yeah. So, this is on the way to Battison. We have 2 Battisons in this trip, and then 1 is in Chambly. So they sing super loud on the way to the Battison. So this is a place we hold the baptism, and then the group photo is those who got baptized at the time. So some practical issues in terms of NSC. So some things would be implemented by the preacher, and something we do as part of our preparation and delivery. So the first is set the ground rules. It is very, very important for you to set ground rules for the students in the beginning and keep reminding them every day. For example, to come back to the classroom on time, you should not be chatting while the teacher talks. You should not eating during the lesson. You should not, because sometimes they eat mangoes in the lesson. And you should not use phone during the lesson, actually. And the students in Zambia, they lack I think it's in general in Africa, they lack of the concept of like be on time. And I believe all of you have heard about African time, right? Yes. So if you hope they can come back after 10 minutes, you need to start calling them back after 5 minutes. And they don't have ring, bell, everything. They try use this. So they have very skill, like special clapping. I'm not very good. But they can do it very loud like this and try to calling them back. So when they hear this, they know they need to come back. And the adult class has problem in terms of student being late for the lesson, and then sometimes they are very free to go out and come back, and they have very quite serious problem in terms of using phones during the lessons. And actually for me this time, I think they developed because they all have very good smartphone, and some of the phone even bigger than mine. and they really like social media, so they use phone a lot. And sometimes if you don't like tell them in advance, they will keep using phone here like this. But you know their table is no cover like this, so actually you can see through every one of them like using their phone. And the second is preparing to teach a large class. As I mentioned before, after we moved the age 17 student, the student of age 17 to adult class, the younger class has more than 70 students, which is quite different to the UK. I think it's quite different to America. I don't know. NSC has, NYTS has quite a big group on it. So, therefore, if you go to help with the NSC in Africa, I think you should prepare yourself to teach a large number of students, how to deliver the message to them, how to do a better class management. And the third is having very clearly points and structure when you deliver a lesson. This is will help students to follow you, because they actually taking notes, and they were able to answer all the questions quite well in the class. And they all try to take notes, whatever the notes you are writing on the board. But I found they have some difficulties to answer some like open questions. For example, if you ask them, what can you learn from this? So we do the test, and then if you write down the very what you say, for example, who is the son of Abraham, then they definitely able to answer. But if you ask them, what can you learn from Abraham's sacrifice Isaac? Sometimes they found they got struggle about this question because they have no idea what to ask him. And yeah, I think they didn't got trained. I think for the students here, with more sometimes you got asked, what can you learn from this? What teaching you get from this? But for them, I found that they have difficulty to answer this question. So on Sunday, 17th December, we traveled from Chonburi to Mapalo for the IE teacher training. And there were about 29 attendees for the seminar. And the night before the seminar started, preacher Daniel and me, we had a meeting, and we decided to change the original timetable to add some more practice lessons for them. So, for example, on the second days of the seminar, we prepared 4 lessons slots for all the IE teachers to deliver about 15 minutes lesson according to the way they teach in their local church. So we could have a better understanding of the method and the level of their teaching. And then we were able to try to help them to improve based on what they already have. So when you ask local IE teachers what challenges they are facing right now, 99% of them will say to you, we lack materials. We don't have picture to students and to show to students, and we don't have coloring books to give to the student to color, and we don't have a board to write on like such a question. And to me, when I heard all this like feedback, and I feel like often we feel we are lacking many things, but in fact, God's grace is sufficient for us. Rather than looking at what we don't have, we should focus on what God has given to us and try our best to make use of it. Yes, compared to the developed country in the West, like UK or America, some of the countries in Africa are lacking physical resource. However, God gave us wisdom and hands to make things creatively. So I truly thank God all the attendees of the IT training in Mapalo last year. And we wanted to help them to be more creative and use the resources they have and in their daily life to cover the lack of the resource. So we gave them an idea of what could be done and show them some examples. And so I used the toilet roll carbon and a water bottle that I finished like with the water. So I used that to make some very simple model. I made Abraham and Isaac and Adam and Eve, and to show them as an example. And we provide some basic materials like recycled things like water bottles, plastic bags, scrap paper, and for them to make some models to deliver an RE lesson. And they delivered beyond what we expect. So you can see from the PowerPoint that basic what they made. And we actually assigned them each group different stories from the Bible, like Jesus feed 5,000, like Jonah with a big fish. So they have to make the material, the model based on the story and deliver the lesson. And then they actually made it very, very well. I'm so surprised. And so some of them even found some actual materials such as like earth, clay, leaves. So you can see here, they actually use the earth to making stuff. And it's so creative. I'm like so impressed. And they showed effort, creative, and good teamwork to make the teaching models. And they were actually able to do much more than what they thought. And so that's the things we actually try to help them to find what they have in their daily life. So they were, yeah. But the future question is whether they were able or they were willing to do in their local church. So this year actually is the True Jesus Church in Zambia for 10 years. So the first seed got baptized in 2008. But so far in Zambia, there's still only one church building in Mapado, which is this one. And I think Jeffrey also showed this picture earlier today. And the rest of the place are all rented place. But there's another 2 church building is on progress. And therefore, most RE class are held outside under the tree or in the yard. So once it's raining, the class has to stop. And another challenge to the church in Zambia is facing right now in terms of RE is lack of the RE teacher. So some places only have 1 or 2 RE teachers, and some places even don't have RE teacher at all. Some places maybe established a bit longer, so they have 4 or 5 RE teachers. But because of the lack of the RE teachers, the RE classes often have a huge age range. For example, one RE teacher have to teach a class with 20 to 25 students from the age of 2 to 16. Have you ever taught this kind of class before? I can't imagine how you're able to manage and teach the class from age 2 to 16 or 3 to 15. Yeah, but basically that's the things they are facing in Zambia right now. And if God willing, some of you have the chance to go to Zambia to help with the RE teacher training. And when you are sharing the topics of teaching methods, lesson planning, or class management, it would be good to put this big age range student situation into consideration. So because I would think it will be more practical for them, more useful for them. And because we cannot just say to them, oh, you just need to divide to more RE class, then will be fine, because you can teach according to the RE class at lower primary, like up primary, E1, E2, J1, J2, because they are so lacking of the manpower and also they lack of the space, so they're not able to do so. So that's the things we need to try to help. Yeah. So 24th December, Sunday, we left early in the morning and traveled about 10 hours to Ampika. And this afternoon, Jeffrey shared that when they went to Ampika to visit a group of truth seekers in end of 2016, and the group of people got baptized into the church in 2017. And I think one preacher FF went to visit them in last year this summer. Oh, it's a summertime, right? So last summer, the member was facing persecution, and at that time, the prayer request for the member in Ampika actually was shared among the whole UK, and we have been praying for the members in Ampika, but we never met them before until last week. When we went to visit them, I feel a bit how to describe that feeling, like, oh, you have been praying for these people you never met before, you have been praying for them for a while, And now you finally meet them, and then you know, oh, this is a group of the people that I've been praying for. And we really happy to see the members there, and they no longer fear to pray, and they no longer suffer from the persecution, and they even able to purchase a huge land to build a church there. So we went to visit the land. It's super big, and I think it's at 250 meters times 250 meters. So and so this is a land have been purchased and gonna to build the church in the future. Oh, so this is basically the life in Antica. We have to walk for half an hour to go to a spring to wash our clothes, but that view is super nice. And then while me and Daniel we are washing our clothes there, we got a group of audience, like a group of kids from the I don't know where they come from, but they just sit opposite to us and like this and just watching us the entire time when we're washing, and when we laugh and then they follow us to this. But yeah, and that's the child from Antica, the children from Antica, they are helped to washing the dishes, and we got such good meal. Yeah. So we actually had a lot of food there. That's why I never lose weight when I went to Africa. So this is Kaloko, and we went there on 20. I think it is 29th. We went there on 29th December. Yeah, we went there to visit a group of the newly baptized member and San Trusik there. And do some we went there to do some like follow up visitation and share some doctrines knowledge with them. So we spent one day with them there. So this is the Tagagan. We had our last Sabbath of 2017 with the members in Tagagan, and they are also try to. There's quite a lot of people there. There's I think right now in Tagagan there's about 60 members, and some true seekers and some people from other churches come over as well. So we had a service. I feel it's exactly like the service times in London, like from 10 a.m. or a bit early, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Actually, the service normally service only 1 or 2, and they're supposed to finish at 3. But then the local workers just want to continue have service, so they require to have service until 6. And next. So this is the church building Tagagan is working on right now. It's quite big building, and through this trip I actually found that there's quite a lot of construction work of the church in Zambia, and it can be quite helpful if any of you have construction background or study about the construction and willing to go for a missionary trip to Zambia to help some construction projects there, and to do some like land planning, design the building, anything. Yeah. So basically the trips of this year, and then we fly back to UK on 31st. We left Zambia on 31st December, but we got a 14 hours train in Nairobi. So I arrived on Monday afternoon, and I really thank God that we are safe back. So this is my sharing for this. Oh, finally, I want to share a verse with you. Let's turn to Colossians. Colossians. Colossians chapter 1 verse 9b to verse 10. and to ask that you may be filled with the knowledge of His will in all wisdom and spiritual understanding, that you may walk worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing Him, being fruitful in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of God. Amen. So I think we are all, God gave us a lot, and we have received a lot from God. So we really need to try to do good work for God. So yeah, if God willing, we're able to go to Africa and join a missionary trip to Africa. I think it's very good training for ourselves, and also it's a way to serve God as well. And to be honest, to me, I don't feel like serve in London church. I go to Africa, serve in Africa is different to my serve in London church. But when I went to Africa, I truly feel, because of different environment, and it's truly helped me to break out the routine work that I have. Sometimes I feel like serve in a place for a while, then somehow it can become a routine. But went to Africa, it's really helped me to examine myself towards God. When I told the IE teacher about how to be a good IE teacher, and I feel like when I deliver the message, it's also the message for myself, to examine myself, to be holy, be faithful, be humble, and yeah. So any questions? I got 15 minutes left. Anything you want to talk about?
How is your voice if you have to teach 70 kids?
Oh.
Do you have to shout? Yeah.
Thank God, I think my voice is quite loud. Yeah, but okay, so actually, like in Zambia, I think in most of places, even in Kenya, they will have interpreter for you, and the interpreter, their voice is extra loud, and even the kids cannot hear you properly, but the interpreter, the local worker, they are really helpful. Sometimes I feel like I'm not sure like the kids really understand, because most of them are listen to their local language, like Bember in Zambia. But the interpreters really help, and I can tell sometimes they even try to explain to them, like add some extra things to try to help them to understand. But yeah. Anything else you want to know? If not,
just curious.
Yes.
Let's say when you teach class, it's in English, right?
Yeah.
So like, what if I'm just thinking, what if like you accidentally use a that's slightly more difficult?
Oh, so the local interpreter don't understand you.
So you also have to tone down.
I think they will ask you. There's either two things happen. Either they don't understand you, but they just make up by themselves, or they don't understand, but they ask you what you mean, so you try to explain to them. But I would suggest try to use more simple English, yeah, or more simple sentence, and try to make the sentence a bit shorter for them, yeah, because English is not their first language. And it's well helpful if you learn some local language. I did learn quite a lot this year, and I found that it's the way how you to communicate with the local people. Like every morning when I greet them, so I would say, "Woli shiny," or like "Wapka shiny." So they are so happy, and they just kind of like build a bridge with them, and yeah. So I made quite a lot of good friends with them, and for me, I feel like I go there is not try to bring a distance with them. Like I'm not like, oh, I'm a missionary and then you are local and then we have like, yeah. But I try to interact with them, and so I actually cook with them. I wash with them and I chatting with them and sometimes I eat with them. So and then the sister there, they treat me so well. So while I was in Zambia, I don't need to look after my hair at all because they really like my hair. So they like to plait my hair every day. So there's one night I experienced like 15 girls behind me and all the hands on my hair, and then they just try to plait my hair together. But yeah, that's how you interaction with them. Thank God. Any more questions? Anything more you want to know? Yes.
Because of the language barrier, did you feel like it was hard to like interact with people, or did you always have like an interpreter with you at all times?
No, I don't have interpreter with me all the time. And oh yeah, so I try to speak. I speak English with them, but not all of them understand English. And so you smile. And you just what I do usually, I sit next to them, and although I don't understand them sometimes, but when they laugh, I just look at them and try to laugh as well. And that's why actually they are quite nice, and I try to make. I remember one time I like a girl, a little girl. She's so cute, and I really want to make friends with her. But we just don't understand each other at all. And then she's quite funny. Like every time when I try to, so I actually every time when I saw her, I just try to do this and teasing her, and then she's laughing so hard, and we actually make good friends, although we still don't understand each other. But she's like want to sit next to me, play with me, and then we just making some like sometimes we just making paper together. Yeah, I think actually when you forgot about language, the body language, the facial expression is all the things God gave to us. It help us to communicate with people. So yeah, use your smile, use your eyes, and then use your hand language. Yeah, sometimes I just point out things. Yeah. So don't worry. Anything else you want to know? Actually, I think last year. So, yeah, I compare. I feel like I went to Africa 2 times to two different countries, and that 2 trips actually quite different. And there's some common things in terms of the environment and in terms of some certain cultures is quite similar, but it's also very very different because when I was in Kenya, it's my first time, but both these 2 trips I actually don't really have. So when I went to Zambia last year, I'm the only sister, and it's quite. But thank God I went through a quite good time, and the coworkers really helped. And I think I got truly prepared. He probably knew that this last year I have to go by myself again. So when I went to Kenya with Rachel, and we only stayed together for accompany each other for 2-3 days, and then we got separate. So I actually traveled with I followed preacher Samuel Cole and with another 2 local interpreter to follow us. So one brother accompany preacher Samuel Cole and one sister accompany me. So I actually stay with the local sister through the whole trip. And this time to Zambia, I'm the only sister. And the reason why actually this is a thing, sometimes I feel even you have waiting hard to go to Africa, you need to pray hard as well. Because for the 2 trips, I always feel, before I really arrive at Africa, I always feel like I may not able to go. And yeah, because certain issues happened and some unexpected things happened, I also feel like, oh, I might not able to go. So I actually pray hard to God say to God, if God willing and then He allow me to go, then I will go. So, and thank God He really gave me the opportunities. And although there's times I'm the only sister, but the preacher and Daniel, they really look up to me, and I have to overcome quite a lot of things by myself as well. And the local sisters, brothers is really nice. So yeah, I really thank God I had very good times in Zambia this time. And if you don't have any more questions, I assume. Yeah, so I will give all glory to God, and we will kneel down and pray and give thanks to God. Hallelujah, in the name of God, Jesus Christ, we
loves me. Jesus loves me. I am so glad that Jesus loves me. Jesus loves you and me. I am so glad that Jesus loves me. Jesus loves me. Jesus loves me. I am so glad that Jesus loves me. Jesus loves you and me.
Hello, everybody. Okay, so just Christ I speak. So for those who don't know me, my name is Hazel. So some of you guys will have known me from last year or the past couple of events, and some of you guys might have received an email from me. Well, now you can put a picture to that name. Right, okay. So, so I'm going to be doing announcements for the rest of the time. Another, what's mention about, okay, so you've kind of had all like the work reports and the practical issues sessions already now, right? So can I think I'm sure maybe throughout the course you'll have like some questions or some like thoughts and feelings about Africa or anything. Okay, so can those who have actually been to Africa before, can you stand up, please? There's actually quite a few people who have actually been to Africa before, okay? So we have Andy, of course, Kamyun, Amy, Ori, Barry, Rachel, Jeffrey, and Jonathan, okay? So if you guys have any questions, please sit down, yeah. Sit down, okay? Yeah, so if you have any questions, please go to either me or them, okay? And, use this time, like, to ask all you want about it, get an idea of the experience, okay? Because, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in Africa as well, okay? So, to that opportunity. So, so my name's Hazel. I'm actually on the AMCVT group, okay? So, just a little bit of a bit of understanding for everybody, okay? So AMCVT is a voluntary team, okay? And we are there to help kind of accommodate for trips and for sort of like the kind of behind the scenes work as well. So if you have any questions about AMTC or anything about trips or anything, hopefully me and Andy will have the information and be able to help you guys out if you have any questions for that as well. Okay. All right. So back to the housekeeping stuff. Okay. So lights out. Suggested lights out is at 11:15. Okay. So the idea is so that the person who does the last checks of the church can close all the lights and all the stuff so that nothing is left on, basically. Okay. So if you guys are still up, obviously because now you're halfway through the event and things, you want to make sure that you get enough sleep and enough rest so you can take in the rest of the lessons, right? So if you are the last one up, last one using toilet, last one using the chapel, last one using the basement and stuff, make sure you switch off all the lights, okay? It's just common sense, right? Just make sure you switch off the lights, okay? And help church save some money as well. Okay, that'd be nice. Also, no piano playing after 10:30. Okay, so I think Andy might have mentioned this already this morning. Okay, but yeah, so don't play any piano, hymn singing after 10:30 because walls are thin, ceilings are thin, people can hear you singing, right? Okay. Okay, so so I guess that's really it. Okay, so make sure you guys get enough sleep, drink enough water. I know a lot of you guys are ill, so staying up all night singing hymns is great, but it's not going to help you recover. Yeah, so yeah, maybe praying in the room might, but no. Okay, so anyways, that's what I do when I'm nervous. I just crack jokes. Okay, anyways, so good night, everybody. So if you want to, please stand up and say goodnight to everybody because that's what I do. So say goodnight to each other. Okay. Really, it's annoying.
That sounds pretty bad. Yeah. Because that's why like it's I don't expect that to end at all. That was what we were thinking.